intro.
No problem.
I'm really happy to be here with you today. So, Possession is a supernatural thriller. It's about a lawyer who gets an inheritance dispute and ends up going to Jamaica to try and solve it. It touches on subjects like race matter, colonialism. Um, I would call it a genre binding series. It gets the audience very gripped from the first few seconds of the first episode. So I'm super happy to be a part of it. It's a special one. It touches on a lot of subjects that I feel like need to be touched on. And I'm very grateful to be a part of the amazing cast and crew.
And how did the opportunity come about for you, Safina? Was it just a regular talent agent process in terms of your talent agent sort of said, this is an audition that we think this role, it's a bit of secrecy. Can you send in a tape, a sort of well, a self tape that you've done at
Yeah.
home for this character and see where it goes and hope that something will come back?
It was exactly that, Jim. So I was chilling on Monday. I think it was that I got the tape. I was chilling 2 years ago on a Monday, and I received a tape from my agent at the time. And she sent me the tape, and I read through the material, and I saw that it was from the amazing Carmel Cochran team. So I was like, oh, so every time Carmel sends me something, I know that it's going to be amazing because she literally casts the most amazing projects ever. So I got reading the sides, and I was like, oh, this is a bit of me. It gripped me from the very moment before I even read the script. From when I had the sides, I was like, I really want to play this character. I just said in my mind, there's no way, impossible way that I cannot play this character. I couldn't see it any other way. I felt like it was written for me. I felt like it arrived at the perfect time. So I literally called my acting coach called Ben. I got on the phone to him and I said that I want to come in and I want him to help me tape for this opportunity. I went in, I done the tape. From the second tape, I was like, that's it. I said, that feels great. That feels perfect. This is it. And he was like, are you sure? Do another one? And I was like, no, I've got a feeling it's this one. Sent it back to my agent at the time and she was like, Saf, these tapes are absolutely phenomenal. Well done. Waited for a few weeks, didn't hear anything. I was like, let me send my agent a check-in to see if she's heard anything. So I checked in with my agent at the time and she was like, we haven't got any news yet, but I will check in with them. A few days after that, I then got an email from my agent and was like, hey, Saf, just heard from production. They would like to have like a full body slate of you. And I was like, no problem. Sent that off, still didn't hear anything. And I was like, what's going on now? It's been a few weeks. So me and my impatient self checked in with my agent again and was like, have you heard anything? She was like, all right, I'll check in again. And then the next time I did hear from my agent, it was to let me know that I got the job. So yeah, I done one tape and I was able to get the job from there.
Yeah, and so congratulations on that, first of all. And tell
Thank
us
you.
about your character, Bettina. What is her role in Possession? Where does she sort of fit into this storyline or timeline?
So in Possession, you have the modern timeline and you have the past timeline. So Betina is a 15-year-old slave who works on the plantation of Hope Hill. She's under the teachings of Flora. She's very close with the character Flora. Flora kind of takes Bettina underneath her wing and teaches her a lot about the African spirituality and how to use that as protection going forward in the series. So Bettine is basically a 15-year-old slave who endures so much while she's at Hope Hill. She's zombified, she goes through a whole lot, and she comes out on the other end as somewhat of a fighter and a rebel, and she fights the oppression and everything that's going on. And she has a little juicy scene at the end where she ends up killing the master, which is Belle Powley, for everything that she's basically put us through. And as I don't know if the viewers know, but she shoots Shepherd. So in that moment when she shoots Shepherd, I then step in to defend everything, and I have a great scene where I hit her in the back with with an axe, and she dies. So yeah.
Yeah, fairly intense, Bettina, but something struck me there, and just an observation, quick note. You mentioned playing a 15-year-old. How was that
Yes.
like? Because I don't want to sound disrespectful, but I could imagine maybe you playing an 18, 19-year-old, but a 15-year-old. What was that sort of like to, because 15-year-olds are impish, they're a bit sort of childish in their
Yeah.
endeavors. How were you able to portray a 15-year-old in a timeline and sort of keep it serious as well, but also give that sort of flavor of youth to the character?
So for me, I felt like where Bettina was already going through so much whilst being in Jamaica and being zombified and being enslaved and having to go through so much, she was already a character that had so much resilience, and her silence shows through her resilience. So I was able to kind of just focus on what's Bettina's intentions, what does she want in the long goal, and in the long goal, her main focus was she wants her people to be free. She wants the curse to be broken. So Bettina's not your average 15-year-old, should I say, because she was a slave. So she had to endure so much more than an ordinary 15-year-old would live their normal life, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
She went through an awful lot. And as much as she was 15, I feel like in her mind, she probably felt like she was in her 50s or her 30s, because that's the kind of life that she lived. She endured as much as an adult would have endured. So as much as she was 15, I think that was just a part of her age. Her mindset wasn't of a 15-year-old. She was a survivor. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She was always in survival mode. So for her, I don't think age was really a thing. I think the main thing for Bettina was making sure that her people were freed from being bewitched, including herself. So yeah.
And Safina, I know it was sort of shot in between both Jamaica and Bristol. In terms of your sort of scenes, were you started going between both, or were your scenes specifically in one place?
Oh no, so I shot my first half in Bristol, which was absolutely amazing. It was really nice to be down in Bristol because I had never done that before. And then after that, we had went off to Jamaica for the second half, which I found absolutely amazing. I felt like being in Jamaica truly helped me and grounded me more with my character, especially Bettina coming from a Jamaican background. And as you can hear, I'm British. So it was a big transformation to be there and to feel the presence. And we actually shot on actual plantations. So you will see in like the trailers, you will see this house. That house is actually on a plantation. So I got to feel everything that our ancestors would have felt many, many years ago going through those moments. And I also felt incredibly held by the cast and the crew. And we had an amazing director called Storm, he was absolutely phenomenal, which I felt incredibly held by him through every single moment and step of the way, because I'm not sure if you're aware of, this is my first role on TV and screen.
Okay.
I'm a theatre child, so I've come from the theatre. I've trained in the theatre. So to come into such a big production and for it to be my first production was a bit like, whoa, this is super intense. But then once I got into it, I was just like, this is amazing. And then I just had an amazing cast and crew around me, which helps me with my accent, which helped me with anything that I needed. But I do have to say, Jamaica was the icing on the cake for the filming, because it was just such a surreal moment and so special that I can't even explain that moment. And Carla, the amazing writer, she is absolutely phenomenal. I don't know how her mind was able to create such a masterpiece. She's done an incredible job, and she was also so gracious with the actors and allowing us to play, her and Storm just allowing us to play and to create things that maybe sometimes wasn't even there. It was just, yeah, it was truly amazing.
And Savina, you mentioned you come from a theatre sort of background. So what was it like being cast into a big production where you're on the go, physical movement, exercising, partaking in stunts, dare I say? Obviously,
Yeah.
a theatre, you do something, but it's all really projection of voice, maybe changes of costume in terms of production sort of stage. In a big sort of TV series sort of production, we have stunt teams, stunt coordinators, there's a good lot of sequences in that. What was that all like in immersing yourself in that sort of environment in terms of something different in terms of work?
It was actually quite amazing, if I'm being quite honest. We had, as I said before, we had such an amazing cast and crew. So for me, I feel like it was the process of before getting the job, being like, oh, what about if I get the job? I'm going to be a bit scared to then actually getting the job and then arriving on set and being so held and anything I needed. Production was there. If I needed something, Storm was there. The producer, Kate was there. There was just so much people to help me every step of the way. I never felt alone at all. It was just amazing. The only thing that I can say is different from obviously screen and theatre is less is more. You know, when you come from a theatre background, everything is very big, very big. So what screen taught me is you have to bring it all down. Yeah, do you know what I mean? You have to bring it all down. So that was a test within itself, like learning, I guess, the camera and the technicality of the camera and how to be in front of the camera, you know. That was something that I kind of started to get used to, and by the end I was just like completely smashing it out the park. But yeah, that was the only thing that I can say maybe I found a little bit like, oh, I'm a bit scared, but then I got there in the end, so it was truly amazing.
And Savina, when you sort of watch back the finished product for the first time, what were your sort of own reactions to see some of the dark magic stunts and the sequences? Did it catch you by surprise?
Yes, it did. I was truly, there was so much scenes that obviously I wasn't even involved in. So when I finally saw it on TV, like Johnny Lee Miller scenes and Goo Goo scenes, everything was just so gripping, and I felt like every single actor done such a phenomenal job. Like we literally done such an amazing job that everyone just should be proud of themselves, because I feel like we generally created something so special. And not only that, but we're actually telling people's stories. These stories that we are telling are actually true in Jamaica. These things did happen once upon a time, and they are real. So I'm just happy that we're able to also kind of bring this awareness to screen. So everyone's people that don't know about stuff that happened back then in Jamaica and stuff like that. I'm just kind of happy to be a part of this and bring this awareness to society because it's such an amazing thing.
And Safina Simpson, before I let you go, why should people tune in now to Sky Atlantic? If catch up in terms of the first episode if they haven't seen it already on August 6th, or if they want to continue on sort of watching Possession. And when they do, Safina Simpson, what's in store for them? Safina Simpson.
Possession.
Simpson.
It's okay. Possession is a gripping series. It's a supernatural thriller that will have you at the edge of your seats. And I feel like it's a TV show